welcome to 50 Plus Tech. Today I'm going to talk to you about the GoPro Hero 8 Black that I've been using for the last year now. I started my channel 2 years ago, but I didn't upload for like a year because I was a little bit afraid to upload, to be honest. Until I watched a bunch of people that were saying, just do it, just upload, just go ahead and do it. So I did that in May of last year. And I started recording on an Android phone. I did some recording on a Logitech C922X, I believe it was. So I did some recording at the beginning, when I first started. You'll notice that in some of my earlier videos. I'm still trying to figure out the lighting. I'm still having some issues with other things, but I did find that the quality of my videos were getting a little better when I upgraded to the GoPro Hero 8 back in end of June last year. I think I had been recording for about a month or so. I'm still struggling with lights, getting in my glasses, so there's all kinds of things I'm learning, and I'm hoping that over time I'll be able to get even better at the recording and even better at the editing. But in the meantime, the purpose of today's video is to talk to you about my experience with the GoPro Hero 8 Black for the last year, or a little over a year. I celebrated a year of this channel, like the end of May, because at the end of May is when I uploaded my first video, which when I go back and look at it, it makes me laugh, but getting there little by little. I had the Pocophone at the time, so I was using the Pocophone to do my recordings for my channel for about a month or so, till about the end of June of 2020. And then I thought, the problem is that with the phone, I used the phone, so I would take the phone, off the thing and then put it on its charger, and, I was running around with it, but I wanted something I could just set up and not think about it, so that I would sit here and do whatever videos I was going to do for the day without having to worry about, oh, I need my phone for something. So I decided to get something just for recording, even though my phone was doing okay. So I didn't have a whole lot of money. I don't have a whole lot of money, but I wanted something to set up, like I said. So some of the things I like about the GoPro, it's pretty sturdy. I had dropped it the other day, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, to chorus rehearsal, and I had it up on a tripod, up on a table, because we were rehearsing in the library, and it just kind of fell off the tripod and went bloop, 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 and it survived, so that was awesome. It hears me talking, so it's trying to do things. It's upset because I've been talking about I'd like to get a mirrorless camera, but I will probably turn this one into my new streaming one, because I have an HDMI streaming thingy to plug in. Okay, so when I started with the GoPro, I was really interested in it because it was not as expensive as the mirrorless cameras. It was $329, and that included a bunch of extra stuff, a couple batteries, and a thing for around your head, and so there was a bunch of stuff that came with it, and I thought it was a good way to move away from the doing everything on my webcam or on my phone. And one of the reasons why I wanted something separate versus just recording on my phone, which is what I'm doing right now. Okay, it's talking to me. Was because I wanted to be able to just set it up and forget it. Set it and forget it. That was the whole deal. And I've been through some different, evolution with using this since I got it last year for $329, which was not, I think it was about $329. I'll put how much I paid for it for really once I go back and take a look after when I'm editing this particular video. Um, so I got it for a set it and forget it. And much like my robot vacuum, it wasn't really a set it and forget it. So here are a couple of things that I ran into with this over the last year. And none of them are deal breakers to me, but it's something to take into account if you decide that you want to get. Now, they have the Hero 9 now. It's recording right now. Stop it. So it might resolve some of the things, but already, just in the few minutes that I've been holding this, it's warm. And it gets really hot. So one of my worries is that it's going to damage something because it gets too hot. So it really can't handle. I mean, I realize it's an outside, it's mainly for adventure, and I'm sure it, it's fine because a lot of people use these. But for me, I was a little concerned that it got a little too warm. So that was one of my issues. The other was that the battery died pretty quickly, and it could be because I had it set to 4K, and although I did resolve that recently by buying, I would recommend you buy a battery charger. If you decide you're going to go for this, either one, GoPro Hero 8 or one of the newer ones, be sure to buy a battery charger, because I don't know, like I said, if it was settings or what, but it did not last very long, so it wasn't a set it or forget it for me. I always seem to have issues with set it or forget it. I buy things because I want to just set it aside, and it doesn't really work that way, at least not for me. You're supposed to be able to tell it to turn on, turn off, and record. So it's not really a problem with GoPro start recording. Okay, so it does. GoPro stop recording. It's gonna make a liar out of me. Usually it's farther away from me, so I would have a hard time with it not listening to me, so I would have to say it 3 times. GoPro stop recording. 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 Yeah, so it's again, not a deal breaker, but definitely not fun. We're going to turn this off. All right, so heat, battery life. It is sturdy as I'll get out. Would I recommend it? It depends on your purposes. For me, it worked really well this last year as a interim until I can afford to buy the mirrorless camera that I wanted to get. It's a little bit, it's better than most phones, but not all. I think the quality is good. I wasn't as impressed with the microphone part, which is why I used, do I have it right here? I used a lavalier mic for quite a while. I'm now using one of those stick mics. So I'm going to be finding out whether or not I like those or not. But I would attach the lavalier. And that was one of the other things. The little side thing, there's a little thing that goes on the side. So once I purchased this, not long after, I had to buy a different one that had an opening for the USB-C plug. So I bought that because I had to charge it a lot because I didn't have a battery charger, which is something I recommend you get if you're going to get one of these. And so the USB-C, I'll find that and show it to you. But there's a little USB-C hole right here, and so the cover that comes with it doesn't have that. So if you're going to go buy this, then make sure that you get the get another one. I'll put a link to it down there for you. But the USB-C goes there, and there's a case that goes to that. And then recently, just like recently, like in the last couple months, I bought this piece that goes on there. And the reason I bought it is because I want to be able to use this if I get another camera. I wanted to get a mirrorless, like I said. I want to be able to use this for in place of my Logitech, and the camera just the way it is right now only has one I/O. It only has a USB-C, so you can't plug anything else in there except like an SD card. So with this, and I forget what it's called, I'll put the name of it, has a micro HDMI, and it has a it has all these different things. Oh, a micro USB, micro HDMI, a little plug for the microphone goes there. This is a microphone. There's a little boot that you can use to put. I've used that actually the other day. That you can put here, and then the little plug, the little turn off and on, and then you just basically, I don't know if you can still see it because I'm doing this. You just basically push this in there. Is it still on? No, okay. And you just slip this on like so, and then everything can plug in. Are you turning off? Yeah, okay. Everything can plug into that little section right there. Can we see it? And you can plug in your little HDMI and your all those things, but you don't have that with the camera on its own. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is it is more expensive if there's things that you want to do beyond just taking video. I mean, you can do standard. What I would do is for audio is I bought a little USB-C to thing that you plug the mic in, and then I would just connect that like this into that, and it was on. So I found ways to get around, but there was a lot of things that I had to modify in order to use it. And again, it's not a deal breaker. It's done some really good quality stuff for me, but I'm still learning, so I'm not an expert. But I would definitely take into consideration, if you decide to buy a GoPro Hero 8 or 9 or whatever, that you look at the other things that you might want to do. Do you want to use this for streaming, for when for streaming for your games, or if you want to use this for your Zoom calls, or you want to do, then you need to take into consideration you've only got one actual plug on this thing, and there isn't an HDMI. You could always get a converter, I suppose, from USB-C to HDMI, but this is kind of iffy. So, great for traveling. Fantastic for traveling. Good quality. Sound is okay, but then I'm not an expert at that, so you might want to look at some other videos to see what other people say about the sound just out of the box. I found myself having to buy things in order to get it to where I wanted it for me, like the battery chargers, like I forget what this thing is called. I will put it up so you can see this thing, so that if I want to connect it so that I can stream with this camera, I have to buy this, and that's another 80 bucks, 80, 90 bucks. But you can also mount your microphone. I wouldn't try using this without a mic, especially if you're using this for inside. Yeah. So it's more expensive. It also has a special mount, so you need to take that into account as well, that you can get it on. Here's the thing. Let me do this real quick. You have to use a special mount on your tripod or your C-stand or whatever you're using. Look at me talking like I know what I'm doing. Anyway, so it just kind of mounts on there, and then you can. I found some issues with trying to get it positioned the way I like it. But again, that's me. But for me, it wasn't really a set it or forget it, just because I had to deal with the heat, with the batteries not going long enough for, maybe the sound wasn't correct, or maybe there were times when it would just split whatever I was recording, which is okay. Before, like when I first started using it, it would just stop and then not start up again. So I think there may have been some kind of update or something that would stop it for whatever reason and then start a second one. So I didn't lose as much after a few months. It was working much better. Would I recommend? Would I recommend? I think it's a decent mid-priced camera. I mean, it's more on the low end, but it's still $300 or more, and you have to buy bits. You really do if you want to take full advantage of it. You do need to get a battery charger. You do need to, get the thing that goes around the outside or whatever it's called, so that you can do things like connect it to your TV or use it for Zoom calls or streaming or whatever. Maybe you don't need to. If you're just going to be walking around vlogging, it's a great vlogging camera. I don't have any issue with it. I have noticed the sound is not great on it, but that's me. I would recommend getting the little, I have one up there, and I'll pop a picture up so you can see what I'm talking about when I say the little. It's just a small stick mic that has a fuzzy thing on it, so you could use that. But in order to use that, you have to get, oh gosh, where did I put it? You have to get this, because there's no place to mount it on this if you just buy this. So you need to get this thing, and then you can take the little foot, and slip your mic in there. Or you can do, the other option is the thing I was telling you about a second ago, where you can stick the USB-C, goes to the mic, and then plug the mic in. That's the way that I did it before I bought this thing. But yeah, it's not just out of the box if you want to do anything more than just walk around holding the camera. Was it better than my phone? Yeah, better than my phone. Is it as good as some of the mirrorless and some of the other cameras? Not so much. So it's a decent camera. I like it. But what I'm going to do down the line is I'm going to try with this thing, because I just got this thing a little month ago, and connect it to see how it works for my Zoom calls. If it's something that makes sense, I wouldn't go out of your way to buy this for Zoom calls, but if you're planning on upgrading and you have this camera already, then it seems like it would be a good way to upgrade from a typical webcam. Thank you for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, please go ahead and hit the subscribe or the like, or both, and I will see you in the next one. GoPro, stop recording. Oh. Nope. Wrong.